Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about how I went from broke to six figures, how I escaped my 9 to 5. I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but the reason I say that is because it's all over the internet, but maybe you're interested in hearing uh, my story. The only reason, by the way, I'm recording this video is because I received a comment from one of our friends yesterday, ASFM8NX, and the comment was around, how did I do it? Can I record a video about it? And it was on one of my videos yesterday. So I figured my channel is still small, so I don't have that many comments. So I might as well address it. So here we go. I'm going to try to focus on that specific time period. I may take a few tangents here and there, take a few detours, but I'll always bring it back, right? That's what I always try to do in my videos because I think typically those detours are going to have some insights and some value. And so you could kind of see my story and realize that, hey, listen, brother, sis, you're not alone. Okay. I've been through it all. Okay. I've been homeless. I've been abandoned. I've been broke completely. I've been borderline, I can't say that word. I've been, in that existential space of understanding why people take their own lives, if you know what I mean. Back when I was living in the cheapest motel room in Niagara Falls. And a lot of this happened late in life. This wasn't like, oh, I went through some experience and now I got over it. Because again, when you have deep pain and trauma, those things, if you're able to use them properly, they're actually the fuel, right? It's the essence of where everything else comes from. Because if you have a perfect life, it's really hard to try really hard in many different areas to generate such a deep level of understanding and convert that understanding into a life well lived, into a strong character, into a strong person, and into great relationships, into a great professional life, and into uh, into different types of experiences that people would want to have in general. So let me take you through the story without further digressing, and you'll get a sense of where I am. So when I was growing up, I was always lost and confused. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. I was just kind of like following what people would tell me. And the reason I studied business in school post-secondary, I got my associate's degree in business, is because I was told that opens doors. It gives you opportunities. Now, at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I figured, okay, I might as well do that. So that was around the time I was 17 years old. Now, after high school, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did co-op and I worked at a real estate company. And so I always had kind of like an orientation, I suppose, somewhat towards not only business, but relationships. Right? Because when I was growing up, I had my own little friend group, but I always wanted to understand why people did what they did. So what was going on inside me? How could I process everything properly and use that to create a life that I wanted to create, but create that life through a process of becoming somebody different, like a new version of myself. Not different as in like trying to be somebody else, but kind of you're cracking. It's like you're a statue, right? And then you crack the other outer layers, and then you look a little bit different. And then you keep chiseling away at that until you change and you morph. But at the essence, like your core, you're still the same. You're just getting closer to that core. You're getting closer to who you are. So that was kind of my mission. Because when I was 18, I had this pretty bad uh, falling out with my dad, and it was, I'm not going to go into the story right now, but it was pretty bad, and I didn't speak to him after that for 10 years. So I basically had to learn how to be a man on my own, because even prior to that, my parents divorced when I was young. My mom raised my sister and I. And so I was always trying to find out who I was and who could I look up to? Like who could I actually admire? By the way, I only had one idol ever in my life. I had mentors, right? Teachers, people that I respected, looked up to, learned from, but I only ever had one idol, one hero, as they say, and that was Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was my idol because he's the one who inspired me to do martial arts. And he is the one who kind of combined for me, even though Plato technically was a wrestler as well, but combined martial arts with philosophy and charisma and basically breaking the mold. So he would be combining different elements together, different types of martial arts together. The father, they call him the grandfather of mixed martial arts. And so he was very inspiring to me. I met many different people along the way because of his inspiration as a young teen. But I studied business, and I was in the banking sphere. I worked in retail. I worked in the bank. My first ever job was at McDonald's, by the way, when I was 16 years old. And I'm going to actually tie that into what I'm going to say a little bit later. But then I started to pursue music. I was producing a lot of music, electronic music primarily. Well, basically only electronic music. And then going back to school, studying neuroscience at university, and working in operations and pharmaceutical manufacturing. So I've basically been kind of all over the place, and I've been trying to find my way the whole time. But the reason I brought up the thing with my dad is because at that time, what I told myself, I no longer feel this way. I honor my father. I love my father dearly. I have nothing but love and respect for him. I have no hard feelings towards him whatsoever. In fact, I have really like warm feelings, really good feelings, because I understand them, right? When people go through pain, and when your parents have gone through their trauma, eventually, as you grow as an adult, you begin to relate to them more. You start to understand them. And so, but at that time, of course, I was 18, mad, young, furious. And I said to myself, I want to be the father for my future kids that my father wasn't to me. Like, and again, this is in retrospect, seeing how he did a lot of good things. But at the time, I was only able to see the things that needed fixing or the things that needed improving. So I was on a mission from the time I was 18 years old. I'm 35, by the way. From the time I was 18 years old to understand myself, to understand other people, and to change, to transform to such a degree where I would become this person that I envisioned at that age. Like, I want to be this person for everybody in my life. I want to be a solid person. I want to be a rock. I want to be a person anybody and everybody can rely on, not only physically, but also financially, also emotionally as well. And I've had a lot of experiences in my life that have kind of like demonstrated that. I seem to not attract people, but I get involved in situations where it just seems like I play that role. And I think I think that's divine. I don't believe in coincidences, but that's maybe a different subject for a different day. But nevertheless, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to do. So I was testing a lot of different things. I was doing a lot of testing to find out, okay, based off of who I am, what really resonates with me? And nothing was really resonating. Part of the reason why is because of the conditioning that we're brought up to believe that. Because I remember when I grew up, when I was in high school, and as I was graduating, when I graduated high school, that's when Facebook came out. So we had no phones, we had no smartphones. There definitely wasn't any social media. So we were raised kind of in a different time. So fast forward, and I have my job, my last 9 to 5, which was in operations in Niagara Falls, pharmaceutical operations. And it was great, because I had prospects for growth. My job was very safe. I was taking on a lot of responsibilities. So I was very valued at the company. And after about 2 years, was it 3 years? It was 3 years roughly. But yeah, after about 3 years, something was kind of, it started to creep in, which is that as I'm like developing my life and I'm having all of these great experiences, like physically I'm well, my relationships are fantastic. I have a great personal life. I have hobbies. I'm still making music. Everything is kind of working well. But the one piece that wasn't working as well as I wanted to, as I wanted it to work, was the financial piece. Now, that actually went a little bit hand in hand with my purpose, because I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not financially in the position that I want to be in, but also I feel like this is not really aligned and somehow in some way with like the deepest part of my essence. I felt like a bird that needed to fly south, if you will. And that's why I left the job, because there's inherent limitations to the environment that you're in. And sometimes you may not know what the option is, the next best option is, but you know that what you're doing right now is, for some reason or another, not working or not fully aligned with who you are or who you're becoming. It has nothing to do with the thing. It just has to do with like who you are and how you're changing. And so basically, I left the job without having anything lined up because I was at a place of like inner peace, calm, and I'm like, this is the decision. And when I was asked why I made that decision, honestly, I didn't really have a good answer. The best answer I could give, and even to this day, the best answer I could give is, aside from what I said, I felt like a bird that just knew when it's time to fly, that just knows when it's time to fly south. It doesn't look at the calendar and make its little notes and schedule things in and talk to its other little bird friends or whatever. It just goes, right? Maybe it does communicate with its bird friends, but the point is that it doesn't schedule things in and think things through. It just has like an instinct and it goes. That's how I felt, right? Like I felt like it was time to go. And so I left. And so I trusted my intuition, my deepest intuition. Now, that is where like I've had like a lot of downs and ups and ups and downs and ups and downs because I skipped over an entire 2 decades basically plus. But the point is, I don't want to make this video forever long, but the at that point, because I didn't have anything else lined up, I wasn't going into anything financially. So I left and I didn't have that many, that like savings. It wasn't a few $1,000s, enough for like a couple months rent and like some food or whatever. So what I had to do was after I left the job, because I didn't have anything else lined up, I was still stuck in this like 9 to 5 mindset. I wasn't like, I'm gonna leave and then do Amazon FBA, right? Or do like coaching or anything like that, or what you see online these days as far as like people starting agencies and marketing companies um, and creating digital products and services and stuff like that. And the only reason I didn't think that way is because I was still conditioned in that old way of thinking. Like now I have to leave, I have to prepare my resume, I have to get another interview, I have to do a lot of interviews with other 9 to 5ers, 9 to 5 positions, and hopefully I can get a salary and that'll be very stable with my benefits. Like I'm still kind of trapped in that mindset because keep in mind I'm old, right? I'm 35. I'm compared to what the state of the world currently, it kind of felt like that mindset was an aging mindset, and I had to adopt a new one. And I'll talk about how I did that. But I'm at that point where I'm just in that mindset, thinking, what do I need to do? Not figuring it out in time because nothing is really aligning because it's almost like I've tried so many different things that as I'm going through this whole like 9 to 5 process thing, nothing is really like vibing internally within me. It's like I'm doing this, but it's not aligning. There's something in my soul that's like not aligning. And so I wasn't in it. Like my energy wasn't in it, my emotions weren't in it, my mind wasn't in it, nothing was in it. There was no passion behind it. And so I was, in a sense, putting forth the effort, but maybe it was like not 100%, probably not 100%, because of all the reasons that I just mentioned. So I start realizing that I'm going to run out of money. So I have to start selling my assets. So now I'm selling all of my stuff in my apartment, and I move out of my apartment into the cheapest motel room in Niagara Falls. Like this transition happened very, very, very rapidly. So after 2 months, I had to move out and move into the cheapest motel room in Niagara Falls and kind of like hold on to everything that I had because I had to like pay for this motel, and the only thing that I had at that point was a car. So just make sure like my car has gas and I can drive places and whatever. So as I'm doing this, I realized that I'm going broke pretty fast. And so at the motel, cheapest motel room in Niagara Falls, living with the cockroaches, I had to go to the breakfast and get the breakfast that they would serve at the motel, which is basically powdered eggs. I think it was powdered eggs. It was a powder that they mix with some liquid, and it looks like eggs. It kind of smells like eggs. It tastes like eggs a little bit. So who knows? Maybe it was eggs. So anyway, I'm eating that, but I get a big plate of it. So I take the plate up to my room, and I buy a bag of potatoes every week from the store, $4 bag of potatoes, and I'm hoping that bag of potatoes will last me for the rest of the week. So I have half of the breakfast in the morning and the other half in the afternoon, along with a couple of potatoes, so I can get by. So that's my life. And in a previous video that I recorded about reasons to live, as far as like not taking your own life, I also spoke about the thoughts that I was having around the existential space that people inhabit when they commit that act. So if you're interested in some darkness, go watch that video. Anyway, so I'm at that point, and I'm there for a few more months and doing a couple of interviews for consulting, right? So I'm thinking like consulting, and nothing is aligning. It just, nothing feels right. and it feels like I'm crashing and burning, right? Like slowly crashing and burning. But sometimes a person, or at least me, I would need that dark night of the soul, or perhaps I needed that. I don't know, but I don't want to advise you to get to the depths that I went to because it was pretty dark. Now, the whole time, though, I was maintaining my nutrition. So I was eating as healthy as possible. Because again, it's not like I was eating pizza and going out and getting junk food and stuff like that. I did that in my mid-20s when I was doing drugs and I was in school and I was like, whatever. I skipped that whole part, right? So there was like a lot of ups and downs. But remember, like the entire trajectory was upwards because the thing that was stable across time for me was my exercise and my workout routines, and also of regardless of what I did, I always reflected on it and I always used it as a tool to learn from that experience. So it's almost like God put me, or I put myself intentionally in horrific experiences, terrible experiences, just so I can learn from them, just so I can have something to teach, just so I can have something to use as a platform for growth, and then hopefully impart that onto other people so I can help them in some capacity as well. And I played that role in a lot of people's lives, so I'm very grateful for that, and hopefully that can continue to happen. So nevertheless, I'm at this point right now where I'm exercising, right? I'm stretching every day, I'm exercising every day, I'm writing every day, I'm recording memos every day, I'm still doing things. But it's that financial part that is kind of like it's eating at me a little bit, because I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, there's nothing that I like. And the advice is coming from all sides, not all sides, but some sides saying, you already, like, you can make money. It just somehow a part of you is not self-sabotaging, but it is kind of self-sabotaging, because a part of me is feeling this is not aligned, so I'm not even going to bother working for it. So even if I can attain it, I don't even care. Like, you would rather drive your car off the bridge so you can learn how to swim, as opposed to driving up to the actual swimming place, the swimming pool, parking your car, taking a lesson, putting on a bathing suit, and then dipping your toe in the water. No, you'll drive your car off a freaking bridge so you can swim to the shore, hopefully, right? And not die. So long story short, I run out of money and now I'm sleeping in my car. Okay. So now I'm sleeping in my car, effectively homeless. And I'm at the point where, like, I couldn't afford the motel anymore. So I had to just move out. And now I have a luggage in the trunk of my car and I'm just driving around, sleeping in my car. And by the way, I have journals and memos around all this stuff. And so what happens at that point is very interesting, because I'm at the point where I'm completely free. Like, I'm still learning throughout this whole time, and I'm having all these realizations, and I'm feeling closer and closer to God. I'm feeling closer and closer to my purpose. I can't explain it. I can't explain how I'm so I'm so together and fallen apart at the same time. It's just kind of this weird juxtaposition. And for the first time in my life, I felt the highest level of joy, of bliss, of fulfillment, of connection to God I've ever felt. And this was the day that I hit zero, when I was going for a walk and I was recording a memo, and I just felt completely free. I felt completely happy. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's not rational, but I just felt like everything made sense. Everything made sense. And that was, if you will, kind of the very bottom. But wait, maybe not. So that's the very bottom, maybe. Next day, I had arranged to meet a friend of mine, and I don't want to say coincidence, because I don't believe in coincidences if you know me. So I meet a friend, and he tells me that he's driving Uber part time to make some more money. And I'm like, okay, I'll drive some Uber. So if I thought that I couldn't get any lower, this is why I have so much empathy and so much sympathy for Uber drivers, because I see them and I feel their pain, because I went through that same shit. I saw a guy sleeping in his car the other day with the app going, and I'm like, that was me. That was exactly me. And because, by the way, Uber, You don't need any qualifications. That job that I mentioned to you when I was 16 at McDonald's, that requires more qualifications than driving Uber, because you still have to send a resume for McDonald's. You still have to interview with them. You still have to like pass with Uber. You just send in your driver's license. You have a clean driving record, insurance, a vehicle, and pass a background check. That's all you need. You just submit documents. You don't talk to anybody. You don't do anything. That's all you do. So you require more qualifications to work at McDonald's, right? And because I've had all of these jobs, now I'm going to record another video about how you need to treat everybody with respect, right? No matter no matter if it's a barista, no matter if it's like a carpenter, construction worker, you think these people are somehow beneath you because you're in the online space or you aspire to do something great, but you're not, because everybody has skills, everybody has a purpose. Now, of course, what I'm not claiming is that people's purpose is to be a barista, but typically that's like a transitional period. But when you look at carpenters, electricians, plumbers, these people are skilled workers. They construct everything that we see around us. So keep that in mind. And as you go through hard times, you learn to have basically respect and admiration to some degree for everybody. So now I'm at that point where I'm doing deliveries, right? I'm doing deliveries, and as I'm driving, a couple weeks in, I'm feeling good, right? Feeling good. I'm like, hey man, just making some money. Let's save some money. Let's invest that money into some skills. I'll figure out what I'll do. Right now, I'm thinking about, okay, how am I going to invest this money? Like, what am I going to do? So what happens is I'm driving a few weeks in, a standard car, right? Manual transmission. So I'm constantly pressing on the clutch to shift gears and driving all day, like 10-hour days. So I blow my clutch out, step on the clutch, blow my clutch out. One night it was like 11 p.m. doing a delivery. I had to like get my car off the road, push it into a parking lot, call the mechanic, call a tow truck, take it to the mechanic. Mechanic tells me it's $3,000 to fix. I don't have that money. I've got around like $1,000 at that point from driving Uber for a few weeks. $1,000. So now what I have to do is I have to keep driving Uber so I could pay off the damages that I did to my car by driving Uber. What a tragic irony. What a hilarious, tragic irony, right? So now that's what I'm doing. Now I'm not driving to get my money up so I could pay off skills. I'm driving just to pay off the damage that I did to my car by driving. That's why I'm driving. So 4 weeks later, whenever the credit card is due, I'm driving 12-hour days, just like that guy I saw the other day, a few weeks ago. I'm at Lakeshore right now, okay, on the 51st floor in a brand new condo. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying like how far I've come. And I saw this guy sleeping in his car like this. That's exactly what I was doing. I was sleeping in my car, waking up, clicking the app, and just driving some more, hoping to make some more money. And at that point, when my credit card was due, I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money to pay it off. So the first time, not only that rock bottom that I mentioned before, it was like a little negative. So now I'm in the negative. Now I have no money at all. Sorry, less than no money. So I take a step back and I take a breath and I'm like, okay, something that I'm doing right now is not working. The reason I learned the hard way is because it's almost like you explore the whole map, right? This is what I'm trying to do in a sense, maybe unintentionally, but I think there's divine intervention. Explore the whole map. So that way, when I come back to you with the map, I'm not just showing you like this kind of like narrow pathway, like I'm just kind of shining a light on this pathway. I'm showing you the whole thing. I'm like, this is that, and this is here, and this is there, and this is here, and this is how to use this, and this is where not to go, and this is how you should use this in service of this thing. And if you want to go here, make sure that you do this and not this other thing here. So I'm basically exploring the whole map. So I get to the point where I'm just like, what I'm doing here is not working. So I'm sitting in my car one day, I was thinking it was the day after, and I was on YouTube. And I had seen a video, I think I was like scrolling through and I had seen like a sales video. And this guy was basically spitting a bunch of knowledge on a podcast. And I'm like, man, this is interesting stuff. And I had, at the time, I was like, this is pretty cool. I don't know if I'm interested, but the way he's speaking, it's captivating me. It's very interesting. So I'm scrolling YouTube, and I see the ad, right, for this guy's company. And because I had seen him, I click on the ad and I just watch it. I never watch ads. I always skip ads. I've never seen a freaking ad. I just skip them all. So I was watching this ad. This is why, by the way, I'm a believer in courses. Okay, because courses, if you're able, first of all, if they align with you, if you have some kind of like capacity where you can take the tools that they're giving you and make something of it. Because listen, there are some courses that people just completely crash and burn out. Sales, by the way, is one of those courses. It chews up and spits out the vast majority of people that go into their programs, because sales requires you to be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. You have to be adaptable, you have to be flexible, you have to be able to build rapport, you have to be able to use principles, you have to be sharp, you have to have verbal fluency, articulation, you have to be able to read scenarios and make adjustments when necessary, you have to think on your feet, you have to be able to speak with clarity, you have to be able to speak and sell to the person the way they want to be sold, not the way you want to sell them. So you have to read yourself, you have to read the other person, and you also have an outcome to try to achieve. So I didn't know that I was going to be good at sales, but I was. But so I'll get there. So I'm watching this program, I'm watching this ad, and I'm like, book a call. Book a call is a pretty good ad. It was saying that you can make $10,000 a month. Or wait, 5,000 a month. It was saying that you can make between 5 to 10K a month as like a setter, so an appointment setter, which is like the first level, kind of, right? In high ticket closing, you're a setter, then you're a closer. So setting is essentially you're talking with somebody, you're building rapport, you're qualifying them, and if they're qualified, you're setting them with a closer, and then the closer basically does the whole, discovery, pitch, objection handling, close. So I'm watching this thing, and I schedule a call, and I book a call. I said the same thing twice. So I booked a call, and I'm in my car, put it on the steering, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm like, okay, let's hear what this person has to say. So we're talking, and she answers all of my questions. I'm not sure if this company exists anymore on the B2C side, but I'll tell you how it works. So anyway, they closed me, right? So I decided to buy the program. Now, the program was 12 grand. So this is the point that I'm trying to tell you, is that I got to the point where all I could do was bet on myself. That's all I could do. All I could do was just rely on myself. I had to take a risk. I had to be a little bit brave, and brave in a way where it's like it's uncertain, but it's a big risk, because when you're already like sleeping in your car and have no money, you're like, how am I going to invest $12,000? They're going to tell me they're telling me it's going to pay off. It can pay off, but I don't know. So I'm like, I believe in myself. I'll do it. So I made that investment. So I went in debt. I went 12 grand in debt to make that investment. And now I have to pay off this money. I have to pay it off fast. So what I did after that, I made the investment. The way it works is that the sales program has two branches. It has the B2C side and it has the B2B side. So with the B2C side, what they do is they take people like me and you, right? They bring us in, they train us to hopefully become good setters or closers. And if we're good enough, they might consider putting us in a pipeline. And all that pipeline does is give you an opportunity to interview with one of their B2B clients. So basically, they're training the B2C clients and then placing them with their B2B clients. That's how the company works. So, like I said, I didn't see many people succeed, not because of the program, but because, like I said, sales it's not easy, right? Especially if because you got to be a normal person too. You can't just be like the sales guy, right? You got to be normal. You have to also have conviction. That's a big part of it too. And so there has to be that alignment. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to schedule a bunch of mock calls. I'm going to treat this like a full-time job. So I'm going to do a bunch of practice, do everything that my coach tells me. I keep sending him stuff. And he's like, man, you're like my prized pupil. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to put you in the pipeline. This was after 4 weeks. Because I was grinding. So he puts me in the pipeline, and I interview. By the way, it's pretty hard to get there because I don't know many people that actually got there. But nevertheless, or have been successful. Maybe they got something part-time, but they made a little bit of money and it wasn't a good fit, and they went back to their normal job, back to their 9 to 5 job. So I interviewed with 3 different companies and they all gave me offers. And I was thinking that there were some companies that actually offered more money and more prospects, but the offer that I picked was the one that I was most aligned with, which is the one. It was a coaching program that helped men improve their relationships and mend their marriages. And I'm like, I can get behind this. I can get behind this mission, this vision. I can get behind it. So that's what I did. And so from 4 weeks, I'm going to check this timeline out. From the time I was negative, right? I bought the program. 4 weeks later, I get the job. Wait. Maybe like 5 or 6 weeks. I get the job. And 3 months from that point, I had paid off my debt. I moved into an apartment in downtown Toronto. Then a month later, I moved into an even better one. And I manage my own schedule. I can work from anywhere in the world. I can be in Mexico. I can be in Greece. I can be in Florida. I can be in Italy. I can go wherever I want. But I like Toronto because it's my home, and also my mom's here. And I see her every Sunday. She's got her friends here. But yeah, I like Toronto. I manage my schedule. I can work whenever I want. I could take as many meetings or as few meetings as I want. I could work mornings, afternoons, weekends, not at all, whenever. And so yeah, that's what happened. And I got my first offer, and then in less, and I think the first month, yeah, I had made 5K, and then a couple months later I hit 8K, and I think less than 2 years later I had my first 20K month. So what I'm trying to make here is, but let me finish the story and then I'll make a couple of points. So after that, I decided I had unlocked something in my brain. This is what's going to happen to you when you start doing new things and taking risks and exploring that darkness, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, is you're going to start to you're going to start to explore new worlds. And whatever limit you thought you had, once you touch that limit, you're going to discover that you can go a little bit further. That's a paraphrase, by the way, of Ayrton Senna's quote. It's a Formula driver who got killed at Imola in 1994, I think. But once you touch that limit, you realize that you can go a little bit further. It's not a solid limit. It's almost like liquid. You see above it, right? Or like very thin glass. You touch it, shatters, and you can see something more. So yeah, I left that 6 months later, got a new offer, and I kept ascending, and now I'm in a position where I'm set. I have all of the skills, I have the tools, I'm able to get different coaching programs, I'm able to train people, I'm able to actually train people in sales, right? Now I was training people before, like I like coaching, right? As far as like whether it was soccer or martial arts or fitness, I skipped all that stuff, but like all of those things, like I'm naturally inclined to do that. So I really enjoy doing it because I've also lived it through experience. So yeah, that's what happened. It was like a very short period of time, but that's exactly what I did, and it was aligned. You know what I mean? And even what I'm doing right now is aligned, and I'm making this channel, and I'm so blessed to do this because I have all of these experiences, right? And all the stuff that I'm talking about, if you notice, it's stuff that I went through in the past, or even just like recently dealing with. Like I mentioned, I had an incident the other day where I was feeling a little bit of anger, and if you search anger in my videos, you'll see I recorded something like a week ago or something, like how to deal with anger, where I'm speaking about negative emotions or something like that. So this is stuff that I kind of like do and I learn in real time, and it's a process of like remembrance, and then you become more integrated, you become better, and then your life becomes better as a result. Like tangibly, your life becomes better. Like you start to meet more people, have different relationships, new experiences, and then in the professional sphere, you're making more money, you have more opportunities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also you feel more grounded. That's the best feeling in the world, because that feeling that I felt when I was completely flat broke, when I was recording my memo, that I just felt connected with God and I felt like joy and freedom and bliss. To be honest, I don't know if I felt that made sense. You know what I mean? So money is gonna solve your money problems, as they say. And this is coming from a person who never believed this shit. I'm like, these people are all liars. These people are full of shit. They're just saying that because they have money. It's actually true. Money solves your money problems, and that's it, right? If you're suffering, if you're negative, if you're in pain, if you're sad, if you're anxious, it's not going to solve your problems, right? You need to actually actively work on those things, right? You need to work on becoming better and improving your life. Okay, so that's kind of like uh, that's a bit of a nutshell. What was it? What is it in a nutshell? Have I been speaking for like 30 minutes now? This is not a nutshell video. But anyway, yeah, I just want to show you that you have everything that you need within you already. You can do anything that you set your mind to. You just have to make sure that what you're doing, you're not copying somebody else. You're not looking at somebody else's life and saying, I want to be this guy. I want to be The Rock. I want to be a surfer. I want this person. I want this person's followers with this Instagram account. And look at this guy's big muscles. I want to look like him. It's like, chill. Just chill. Just focus on yourself, because you're always going to be perpetually unsatisfied, unhappy, anxious, depressed when you're always chasing somebody else. It's a desperate feeling. It's a desperate feeling. And like I told you the day before yesterday, I've met rich people who are just like, their energy is sticky and you just want to be away from them. So I'm telling you, don't think that everything that you're seeing is what you want. That's why I always advocate for eliminating distractions and turning your attention inwards. And it's actually very painful at first, because you realize that you've been running away from yourself for so long, you don't even know who you are. So it's almost like you're present with an emptiness, but that emptiness is kind of like a void of pain, and you have to release that pain before you get into something uh, that can reveal some kind of insight for you, right? But that's a process and it takes time, and I'm here to help you along your journey, right? As we kind of walk the path together. So yeah, I'm not going to speak much more. I'm kind of on a roll right now, so maybe I can go for a little bit longer, but that kind of sums it up in a sense. And there's a lot more that I could say about this, but I'll leave it to you. I'll leave it to you to ask any questions that you have, or to leave any comments, or to request a topic that I should cover, or if you want me to expand on something a little bit further. The only reason I'm recording this video is because of ASFM8NX, right? Right? Because they commented and asked me about that. That's the only reason I'm recording this video. So if you want something, channel is still pretty small, so just go ahead and ask me in the comments and I'll record it for you. So anyway, hope that was helpful. Have a happy Tuesday. It's a Tuesday at 8:26 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to upload this right now, and I hope you get some good use out of it. So if you found this video valuable, like it, subscribe to the channel. I just published a new newsletter. It's called Overcome Negative Thinking. So check that out. And I'm going to cover that in a future video as well. In the meantime, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow as usual.